Let's like the action. Okay, so we're going to talk about the golden ratio today and how the golden ratio is used in composition. That's like organizing your work of art. All right? Now, there's different ways to do it, and I'm only going to show you one of them today. And it's kind of the most complicated, all right? But it's fun to play around with, and it's fun to practice with. And then in next classes, I'll show you there's this one, and oh, there's that one, and I'll give you a slideshow. But I didn't want to give you a slideshow today. I wanted you to just go at it. All right, so ready for this. First thing you got to do is write the number of the golden ratio at the top of your page. It's 1, ready? Everybody write 1.618. Actually, it's 1.618. So you put that kind of like double colon. But you don't really need to know that. The 1.618 is the important number. You got it? You got it? What happened to Michael Sen? He ran away. We lost him. Oh no, Michael. Okay, so golden ratio is a way to arrange your paper or your canvas or even really your sculpture, right? Or your pots so that it's sort of like, I don't know why, but it's pleasing, like it's comfortable. Now, the issue with it is not every substrate, substrate is a word for surface you're going to make art on, fits the golden ratio. In fact, I have yet to find one that's already set up for the golden ratio. You have to find it, right? You can't just dive in and hope it'll work. So, normally what happens is the short side is too long for the long side. So you have to do a little bit of math here, all right? So the first thing for you to do is to take your ruler, all right? You see my ruler? And measure the long side of your paper, or I'm going to say substrate because it's a cool word. Mine is 59, and I am going to go with the number 60 because the number 60 is just a little bit easier to work with. All right? So measure the long side of your paper and write that number down. 60. Well, I don't know that yours is 60, Michael. Mine is 60. You have to measure yours to figure it out. All right, so for those of you who are using a sheet half as large as mine, what's your number? 34, okay. 34-ish, yeah. Round up, it's okay. All right, so now you have to take that number. Yours is 34. Most of yours is 34. And you have to divide it by 1.618. So 60 divided by 1.618. And you may use your calculator or your phone because who carries a calculator now? I did mine in advance because I wanted to make sure. And for me, that's 37. But for you, it might be something different.
So we round it?
So divide it. So 60 divided by 1.618 equals. Use your phone. You don't have to do this in your head. This is not a math exam. What did you get?
It's 21.
It's 21. You have 27?
21, 9, 26.
All right. It's 22. If it's if it's closer to 22, then do 22. All right. If it's 20, maybe is your paper different? Yes, it is. Your paper is different. Great. What's that? No, you don't have to cut it. All right. So now, I know this is complicated, right? I should write an order of operations. Maybe one day when I have time. All right. So now you've got to measure the short side of your paper. All right. Mine is 44. All right, write that number down. Why do you have a 12? Should be a 1.
Shoot, I think mine is actually
All right. Did you get that number? You know the short side of your paper now?
Shoot, mine's actually
You want me to give you? You want me to give you a moment to figure it out?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be cool.
Well, I got the short side then. We can move on.
Yeah. Okay. So now take the measurement from the short side of the paper. So mine's 44, right? And then subtract. What is it? The division? A difference? Not a difference. Product. What is it when you? What's the name for the answer to a division problem? A quotient. There we are. So now subtract the quotient from your long side of your paper divided by 1.618 from the actual size, the actual length of your short side of your paper. So my paper on the short end measures 44 centimeters. The quotient of 60 divided by 1.618 is 37. So I'm going to write 44 over 37 and I'm going to subtract them. And I get 1, and no, that's a 3, and then a 14 minus 7 is 7. All right? 7. All right, we're almost there. We're almost to the point where we can plot the golden ratio on our paper.
Is that the divided one? What's this side?
I know. It makes your head turn in a lot of different somersaults.
So minus the short length, the short length subtracted by the quotient.
That's it. I know, right? It's tricky, but it does work. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. You'll see how this works. I forgot to bring in my octopus painting, but I did maybe it's here. I don't know. An octopus painting where I did like a double thing, and it worked out well. Lots of octopus in my paintings. Okay, almost there. So now you've got that difference, right, between the short side and the quotient. Mine's 7. Now there are different ways that you can do this. All right, I'm just going to show you the way where we put it right in the middle, right, where we do the golden ratio right in the middle. But you can do the golden ratio like higher or lower on your paper. It just requires a little bit different math. All right, the easy, simple golden ratio right in the middle of your substrate is to take that difference between the short side and the quotient and divide it by 2. All right, so mine is 7. Half of 7 is 3.5. There's one I can do in my head. So whatever that difference is, whatever the result of your subtraction, and I'll come around. If you, I'm starting to lose you, fear not. I will come around and help you out. Complicated. But this is, anybody figured out how this relates to our whole unit? This is a something something of something something.
An example of math.
Example of mathematics in visual arts. Fantastic.
The reason I joined was Golden Ration.
See, when you all get to TOK, and I'm your TOK teacher,
You are.
I am one of them. I don't know if I will be yours, but we can talk about this. You can bring this up. And I'll say, oh, very good, bringing in prior learning into TOK class. That's what the IB likes, which is true. Theory of knowledge. All right, time to do some measuring. So you have that number, that half of the difference between the short side and the quotient. Now let's do some fun measuring. Take your ruler. Got my ruler here. Let's see. I like to see what I'm up to here. Got my ruler here. I'm going to measure 3.5 centimeters from the top on the right side of the paper and on the left side of the paper. I'm going to measure 3.5 centimeters.
Wait, why is it yours?
Mine is 3.5. Yours will be different,
And then we
It looks at top.
right? And then I'm going to connect, bless you, I'm going to connect the lines. Da-na-na. So I'm making a line across the top that is 3.5 centimeters from the top. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. So I'm going to measure 3.5 centimeters. It'd probably be easier to just do it this way. Silly. I know, it's a confusing process. What is when you took that number, when you figured out the difference between the short side of the paper and the quotient of your long side divided by 1.68, what was that number? What is that number? Okay, now divide 1.25 in half. So 0.75.
Oh, wait, this is 2.5, and then we divide by 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, then it's 1 point. So now just measure from the top of your page.
But there's like a gap. So like how big should that gap?
That's what I'm saying. That should be your 1.25. And it should be 1.25 on both the top and the bottom. All right, so can you hear? I'll show you mine. I'll hold mine up so you can see. So I made a margin that for me is 3.5 because that's what corresponds to the side of my paper on both the top and the bottom. Yes, I see the furrowed brow. I know, it's complicated, but it really does work. And then kind of once you get it, it's like, oh yeah, then you can't explain how it works anymore. And then after you can't explain how it works anymore, then all of a sudden you find yourself just painting or drawing without even figuring it out, right? You just naturally, that becomes a part of your consciousness or your subconsciousness. All right, so once we all get there, I'll explain the next step.
Wait. Wait, so it's the quotient divided by 2, right? Or
Yes.
It's the
It's the difference of the quotient and the short side of the paper.
Wait, so is it the short side minus the quotient or vice versa? What?
Yeah, it would be the quotient minus the short side because the quotient will be smaller.
But you'll get a negative number.
How are you getting a negative number?
Because you're subtracting a small number.
No, English, the way math describes English, this is why I'm so terrible at math, I think, is because it describes everything all backwards.
Yeah.
It takes the number that you're supposed to be
So
taking
is it-
away, and it says it first,
Okay.
right? Silly. Crazy linguistics.
The small side minus the quotient.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Now I'm turned around on it.
Divided by 2.
Yes, divided by 2. Truthfully, this won't always be the case because it depends on the size of your paper. So there's always a little playing around, but that's why we did it this way first. The longer rulers are over there in that blue pot with the piece of paper sticking out of the top. There you are.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? Like, isn't? Oh, you're talking about the ruler.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sweet ruler. Okay, we got it.
But do you need to do like that?
Both sides.
I feel like
Both
my
sides.
mine's
Yes, that's right.
a bit too big.
Mine's like,
Nope.
Wait, I got 13.74. I feel like that's too big.
Okay, so tell you what, I'm gonna walk through this and then I'll come over and give you a hand. 13.74 is much too large. That would mean the ratio, the drawing part of your paper is that wide, and that would not fit into golden ratio.
29 minus this.
All right, so I'm going to move on, and then so just for the sake of the video, I'm going to move on. But then we'll do it again. I'll help you out a little bit more with it, okay? All right, here it goes. Ready? This is where it gets fun. If you weren't already having a lot of fun. You see why a positive mental attitude is important in this activity? Now, if you've done the mathematics right, okay, have a look at my paper, right? So now, this drawing area, right, is set up correctly for using the golden ratio when arranging your composition, all right? If you do it another way, you're going to get a really weird kind of division of space. All right, ready? Measure the long side of your composition, all right? Because I base mine on, even though mine's 59, I'm still going to do 60 because it's easier. So halfway, make a mark. You want to divide the long space in half. And then draw a line so that now I've divided my working area, my composition space in half. So there's a one on the right and there's one on the left. All right? It's okay. We're going to practice again.
I'm so confused.
I know. There's so many steps to it. It's like this, and then this, and then this. But I told you, this is the more difficult one. There's other ways of doing it where we get something easy. It's a little bit easier. But I want you to walk through this area because I'll show you some images throughout history of painting and drawing and even sculpture, right? Where it'll show you how the golden ratio works out in that work of art. And you'll be like, oh, wow, pretty clever. All right, so there we go. Now, measure the short side in the middle. So that line that I just drew in the middle, measure it. Mine's 37. Half of 37 is 16 and a half. Is that right? I'm just going to say it's 16 and a half. Divided in half. Right? So what we're going to do now is make a line horizontally dividing one of these spaces in half. Mine's a little off, but we're just going to go with it. What is 37 divided by 2? That'll be a 1. Remainder of 1. 2 goes into 17. 8. Silly Devin. That's why. So not 16 and a half. 18. I thought that made sense. All right, so now I'm dividing one of my sides in half horizontally. Can you see? I know, don't worry, Emily. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. I know it's hard. It took me working with a math teacher 45 minutes to figure it out.
Took me a day to figure this out.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know it's tough. I know it's challenging. You'll get it. I'll walk around and I'll help you all out. Because it really does work. It's kind of nifty. Okay? All right. So we're going to continue on with this cutting, making ever smaller areas in one of these sections. All right? We're always forever until, and you can go until infinity, depending on the sharpness of your pencil. You're going to half it, and 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 you can half it forever. So I'm going to now measure the short side, or actually the long side. I've got 29. Half of 29 is what? 14 and a half. 14.5. Another 14.5. And cut that in half. So see, now I've cut this space in half. I don't know what's going on with my video there. And then I'm going to cut it in half again. You're always doing vertical side, horizontal side, vertical side. So 18, half of 18 is 9.
Is this the net one?
I'm sorry, say again?
Is this like the net strategy? Like a bunch of blocks and draw inside?
Maybe. I'm not quite sure I follow what you're getting at. Halving again. Halving that, and then I'm going to half that again. Half of 9 is 4 1/2.
Mr. Allen,
Yes, sir.
when you have it, do we like make it between the margin or outside of the margin?
Show me what you mean.
Like, do we have it in between these or do we have it at the entire
In between the margin that you made. So check it out, everyone. I'm going to darken these in so you can see, right? And we can even go smaller than this, although I think this is good for our composition, for our explanation. And mine isn't perfect. Mine's actually a little bit off. But I have found that if you strictly follow rules about composition, you end up with a boring image. So you always want to like goof around with it a little bit. You always want to twist it. Okay, so there you go. Can you see? Here's my composition, right? So we figured out the space for the golden ratio. We needed to make our composition space a little bit smaller, all right? And then we divided it in half, and we divided it in half again, and we divided it in half again, and then in half again, and then in half again, and then in half again, and you could keep going and going and going forever. But we're not going to. All right? So now, the way this works, tell you what, everybody take a pause really quick, because then I'll let you figure it out for the rest of the class. All right? The way this works is when you're designing a composition, here's where it gets cool. Ready? Here's the big reveal. All right? When you're designing a composition, arrange it so that the center of interest, the part that's the most important to your painting, right? The part that you want everyone to look at the most, the thing that's going to communicate the most amount of information, put it right here, right? And then build information out that gets more simple as it moves away. So you take like the business end of your painting, right? The people having dinner at a table. And then away from that, you have some people over here that are carrying food. And then down over here, you have underneath the table, and then maybe there's a dog. And then down over here, you just have a wall with a window. It's a way to arrange your composition so that it's most interesting. Check this out. I am going to do a very bad drawing of what? What should I draw? What are the big markers? Flowers. Good idea. I like that idea. I'm going to do a bad drawing of flowers so you can see what I mean. And the reason that's bad is because I'm going to go quickly rather than carefully. Let's see. How about green? Good idea, boss. All right, ready? Here we go. Let's see. I want... I'll do chrysanthemums because it's autumn. Anybody know why I'm doing chrysanthemums? Because it's awesome? Anyone remember? I don't know actually that I told you.
Chrysanthemums mean something.
They do mean something in what?
Renaissance art.
Nope. Good guess, though.
Ancient China.
Hey, there you go. Chrysanthemums represent the autumn in traditional Chinese iconography. All right, so there we go. There's my chrysanthemum leaf. There's another chrysanthemum leaf. And I don't know what's going on back here. Oh, wait. We want to have the edge of the table. And then there's another chrysanthemum leaf. And then I'll put a little mosquito up here.
No.
No, not a mosquito. What's an autumn bug?
Pumpkin.
A pumpkin? It's not a bug.
Make a pumpkin bug.
A pumpkin bug. I don't know.
Oh, dang, it is this
Right?
Bad bug.
A caterpillar. No, not a caterpillar. I can't think of anything that flies around in the autumn time. So let's just do, we'll do a window here with an autumn leaf falling down. That's a terrible autumn leaf, but you get the idea. There, it's out the window. And then over here, let's see, there's like, just up here because it helps guide. No, down here on the floor is a spider. All right, so check it out. Check it out. Here's the business end of my painting, the flowers. That's what I want you to look at, right? That's the most interesting part of my painting. And over here, I want to keep your interest as your eye moves around. So I've got a window with some leaves outside, autumn leaves. So we've got a traditional Eastern symbol for autumn and a traditional Western symbol of autumn. Wow, I'm culture jamming. Isn't that cool? And then as I move over here, and I want it to get more simple, but I still want something going on, so that's where my vase is. And then as I move over to this side of the painting, I want it to be kind of chill, so there's just like a spider hanging out over there.
But, oh.
Okay, so here is what you're challenged with today. Your challenge today is you can use watercolor or you can just use acrylic, whichever makes you happiest. All right. Do something small so it's easy to work with. Make any kind of painting. Try and use a symbol that you are either familiar with or one that you want to explore further, and see if you can arrange that symbol on your composition using the Golden Ratio. All right, now I'll come around and help you all. Next class, I'll show you a slideshow on how this is used. And you'll go, oh. And I'll show you some other ways that the Golden Ratio is found in art. And you'll say, oh. All right, ready? Say, yeah, we're ready, Mr. Allen. All right, thank you. Let's go.